3 sinister true tales revealing haunted dreams that became terrifying realities exposed. Once upon a time, a single mother named Lisa lived in the tranquil suburb of Maplewood, Ohio, where the whispers of dread lingered behind every white picket fence. It was an ordinary life, at least on the surface. But the moment Lisa lost her job at the local bank, the claustrophobic pressure of bills and impending eviction sent her spiraling into a nightmare. Every night, her home turned into a playground of horror. As she lay in bed, sleep became a cruel joke. Each dream morphed into a waking terror where shadows loomed larger and darker, and a sinister figure lurked in the corners. Its presence seeped into the rooms, smothering her breath and squeezing her heart. It was as if the very walls whispered warnings as the nights dragged on, stretching seconds into hours of dread. Things worsened when Jacob, her curious 7-year-old, started talking about the man in the corner. His small voice sent chills down Lisa's spine. "He's watching us, Mommy," Jacob would whisper, eyes wide with innocent fear. The unease grew like a storm cloud, ready to unleash chaos. When they met Tom, the new neighbor across the street, his genial smile did little to ease her trepidation. She learned of his eerie reputation as an artist who captured twisted domestic scenes, a talent born from his own shadows. Many in Maplewood claimed Tom was haunted, his creations reflecting the despair he felt inside. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As her hands trembled while folding laundry, Lisa could almost feel the walls around her tightening. Her protective instincts flared, a battle against the growing dread that took root inside her. One night, just as she felt a momentary glimmer of hope, her world shattered. Mia, her precious 4-year-old, went missing. The silence from her empty room pressed like a vice on Lisa's chest. Panic washed over her like cold water, chilling her to the bone. In desperation, she rushed to the police, frantic for their help. But their dismissive attitude pierced her heart deeper than any dark figure ever could. They treated her like some hysterical mother caught in a web of paranoia. But already she could feel the choking fog of vulnerability wrapping tighter around her. Driven by dread and whispers of urban folklore, Lisa ventured into the underbelly of Maplewood, hearing tales of broken families and vanished children that sent shivers through her spine. With each story, Tom's name echoed like an omen, a thread pulling tighter around her as she pieced together this chilling fabric of fate. As dusk settled and shadows grew longer, she felt an unshakable pull to Tom's house. Was she losing her mind, or was there truly something lurking behind the benign facade? In her heart, she knew she had to confront whatever lay ahead. Just as she resolved to march into that fog of uncertainty, she caught a glimpse of a shadow moving in her own home. A voice, so soft yet undeniably urgent, floated into her ears, "Help me, Mommy." That moment hung in the air, pregnant with fear, as Lisa faced the overwhelming choice: a confrontation with the nightmare before her, or slipping into the very darkness she dreaded. Lisa's heart raced as she turned from the door, the urge to flee buzzing in her veins. The familiar voice, tinged with desperation, echoed hauntingly in her ears. "Help me, Mommy." It was Mia's voice, a lullaby of fear that drew her closer. Even as every instinct told her to run, the house felt like it was closing in, each shadow stretching and twisting, as if eager to devour her spirit. She tiptoed towards Mia's room, each creak of the floorboards amplifying her dread. The faint glow from the nightlight flickered, casting eerie shapes across the walls. Thoughts buzzed wildly. What if Mia had returned? What if this was a trap? As she pushed open the door, a chill enveloped her. The room lay in stillness. Mia's bed was unmade, the blanket tossed aside. But there was no sign of her, only an unsettling silence. Lisa strained to hear anything over the pounding of her heart, but the house breathed a heavy sigh in response. "Mia?" She whispered, her voice trembling. Something brushed against her ankle, and she gasped, stumbling back. It was just a stuffed toy, an old teddy with one eye missing. She clutched it, its texture grounding her as she fought against the urge to scream. "This isn't real," she murmured to herself. "They're just dreams, just nightmares." Yet the shadows around the room seemed to intensify, gathering like a storm ready to unleash chaos. Against her better judgment, Lisa left Mia's room and crept down the hallway towards Tom's house, almost in a trance. The feeling of being watched crept along her spine, a gnawing certainty that something awaited her just out of sight. As she stepped into Tom's yard, the air crackled. Each breath felt heavy and thick like the fog that rolled in from nowhere. She could see Tom's silhouette through the window, paintbrush in hand, as if he were mid-stroke on a canvas that lay hidden from view. "Tom," she called softly, her voice barely escaping her lips. "I need to talk to you." He turned slowly, the corners of his mouth twisting into a chilling smile that did not reach his eyes. "I've been expecting you, Lisa," he replied, his voice smooth, as sinister as molasses. "I think I know where Mia is." Fear knotted her stomach. "What do you mean?" Panic clawed at her vocal cords. "What do you know about my daughter?" Tom motioned for her to enter. The shadows loomed large behind him, as if beckoning her into the depths of his twisted world. Against her better judgment, Lisa stepped through the threshold. The air crackled further, like static before a storm, and she felt a surge of dizziness wash over her, a momentary blip of reality before plunging into a chasm of dread. Inside, the walls were covered with strange paintings, each canvas a scene that sent her stomach churning, depicting families torn apart, children lost and longing for their mothers, dark figures lurking where light once existed. The innocence of the art was corrupted by the raw pain and horror it portrayed. "Look closely," Tom's voice broke through her frozen shock. "This one's about you." He pointed to a painting that mirrored her life, a mother reaching out to shadows, desperately searching. Chills wrapped around her spine. "But are you ready to confront the truth?" The insistent whisper of "Help me, Mommy" echoed in her mind, growing louder. Lisa felt the walls pulsing, alive with anticipation, as if they held the answers to her nightmares. But at what cost? "Where is she?" she snapped, hands clenched in front of her, a spark of fury igniting the fear. Tom leaned in closer, his breath cold against her ear. "Some truths are better left undiscovered." His words echoed ominously, sending a jolt of terror through her. Was Mia a victim of the dark shadows that Tom painted? Or was it something else entirely? In her heart, she feared she was losing not just her daughter, but herself in this web of dread. Just then, the darkness shifted behind Tom, and Lisa felt a surge of adrenaline as she realized something was wrong. A figure loomed, a darker presence that tugged at the very fabric of her sanity. "Mommy." The voice was clearer now, more frantic. Tom smiled. Again, a trap ready to ensnare. "Do you dare to find out what lies beneath, Lisa?" The air crackled ominously. Were either of them truly ready? The choice pulsed in her chest, fear twisted with fierce determination. She took a step closer, heart racing. What awaited her in this unknown darkness? Each second felt like an eternity, and the shadows whispered her name. The air was thick with tension, oppressive and overwhelming. The painted shadows in Tom's house shifted and twisted, each stroke of his brush seeming to breathe life into the nightmare. Lisa's heart pounded against her ribs, echoing in her ears like a war drum. "Please. Where's Mia?" She could barely whisper the words, the terror clawing its way up her throat. Tom's expression remained unervingly calm. His eyes glinted with a strange kind of hunger, as if he relished her fear. "You'll understand soon enough. It's all part of the journey." Abruptly, the room darkened further, the light from the night outside diminishing as if something were swallowing it whole. The whispers grew louder, Mia's voice piercing through the thick haze. "Mommy. Help me." Each utterance was a dagger, twisting in Lisa's heart. She took a step back, unsteady, the enormity of the situation crashing over her like icy waves. "What did you do?" Panic seared through her, sharp and wild. Tom stepped forward, almost gliding, and pointed toward the painting that mirrored her reality. "Mia is close. You just have to let go. Surrender to the shadows." Lisa shook her head, desperation clawing at her mind. Shadows? Surrender? Those words felt like a chilling song sung by the denizens of nightmares. The shadows behind Tom coiled, pulling at the edges of her sanity. "I want tea," she began, but the moment she said it, the walls shuddered as if they disliked her defiance. Suddenly, the shaped shadows spilled forth, morphing and coiling around her ankles. Lisa felt the panic surge, adrenaline flooding her body. With a growl of fury, she kicked at the dark tendrils wrapping around her, a deep-rooted instinct to fight urging her forward. "Mia!" she cried again, reaching out toward the painting. The dark canvas seemed to pulse with a life of its own, and in that moment, she saw it, Mia's small silhouette trapped within the depths of the shadowed picture, eyes wide, so desperately familiar yet infinitely lost. Tom's laughter echoed in the room, cold and mocking. "See? She's in there, Lisa. Can you feel her? Ready to be freed, or to bind you to the darkness forever." The painting yawned open, a hulking void consuming its edges, calling Lisa closer. Each breath tasted like ash, a stench of despair wafting through the air. She could barely think straight, her desire to protect Mia superseded by the horrific spectacle before her. But what if entering that darkness cost everything? With a shuddering breath, she turned to Tom. "You want to trap me?" The weight of her words felt heavy, but somewhere deep, she knew she had to try. The room trembled, shadows retreating slightly, as if her defiance weakened their grasp. Tom's eyes narrowed, anger flaring briefly before he regained his composure. "Make your choice, Lisa. Destiny or desire? The darkness or your daughter?" Fear clawed at her. Was she willing to plunge into the swirling void, to potentially lose herself if that meant saving Mia? "Help me, Mommy." The voice was stronger now, desperate and pained. The pressure continued building, suffocating, and Lisa found herself moving. Her body seemed to pull toward the painting with mind-numbing dread. Suddenly, a hand gripped her wrist tight. Tom's fingers felt cold and unyielding, an anchor trying to hold her back. "Not so fast. Do you truly know what you're getting into?" Heart racing, she locked eyes with him. "Let go." The shadows thrashed around them as if aware of the impending confrontation. Tom's grin widened, revealing teeth too sharp, too eager. "The truth lies within the shadows, Lisa. Do you dare unearth it?" Her mind whirred like a frantic clock, every second drumming in her ears. The painting pulled at her, yearning, hungry for her decision. The darkness beckoned, and with it, the terrifying truth unfurled. What would she find on the other side? Would it lead her to Mia or consume her whole? As she gathered herself for the leap into the unknown, a piercing scream shattered the air, a sound that claimed her soul shook with fear. "Mommy!" With a deep gasp, she knew she had no choice. But as she stepped toward the void, she felt the moment pause. What would face her when she crossed that threshold? The shadows churned, a frenzy of dark energy pulsed around Lisa, intensifying as Tom's grin sliced through the dimness. This was no longer just a game. It was survival playfully dressed in shades of horror, and she was teetering on the edge of that abyss. As she strained against the grip of Tom's cold fingers, desperation clawed even deeper. "Mia!" Her voice cracked, panic sparkling in her eyes. The painting's darkness begged her to step forward, but Tom's grip was unrelenting. "Please. Let her go." Tom's laughter echoed through the room, wrapping around her like chains. "Surrender is the key, Lisa, not resistance. She can't escape without your help. Don't you feel it? The pull?" Suddenly, the room shook violently, the shadows writhing in a tempo that matched her racing heart. Lisa could almost see the weight of Tom's words pressing against her, the burden of choice so cruelly evident. To save Mia, she needed to step into that horrifying void, to release herself from the clutches of rational thought and into the depths of fear itself. With her heart pounding in her ears, Lisa made her choice, a primal scream pushing through lips frozen in terror. "Get off me!" She twisted, pulling herself free from Tom and lunging towards the yawning darkness of the painting, arms outstretched. The moment her fingertips brushed against the canvas, the world exploded around her. The darkness seized her, pulling her in like a whirlpool of nightmares. She felt weightless, her body drifting through a void that whispered haunting secrets. Mia's voice echoed, louder, now sobbing. "Mommy. I'm scared." Time felt distorted. Flickering images surged past her, dark forests, abandoned playgrounds, places where children's laughter used to echo before pain swallowed it whole. Each vision bore witness to what once was and could be. Shudders danced down her spine, their icy fingers clawing at her insistently. Then, she landed in a vortex, a twisted version of her home, where nothing was as it should be. The walls dripped with malice, the air thick like smoke, stinging her lungs. Mia stood before her, a spectral figure with tears streaming down her face. "Mommy, you came!" Lisa rushed to embrace her, but as she reached out, Mia transformed. The shadows seeped from her small frame, twisting her features into something grotesque and wrong. "Help me! They're coming!" The shadows, alive and hungry, flickered and writhed in anticipation. "No!" Lisa gasped, stumbling back. She had stepped into a realm of nothingness where time waned and reason faltered. She looked around, frantic, hoping for a way out. Dark shapes slithered closer, merging with the walls, their whispers turning claws that scratched at her sanity. "Join us, escape your fate." Mia. Every instinct screamed to hold on to her daughter, but the creature that had replaced her was no longer the child Lisa loved. The shadows cloaked it, wrapping tighter and tighter, leaving no room for escape. What was this place? A prison for misdeeds? A reflection of her deepest fears? She needed to understand. She had to confront whatever beast had stolen Mia's essence. "I will save you," she shouted against the encroaching darkness, struggling against its grasp. But as she fought, the shadows pulled even harder, echoing her despair. "You can't win, Lisa," they taunted, echoing Tom's voice. "You're already too late." With a sudden chill running down her spine, a thought struck her. The painting, the darkness, Tom. Could he control these shadows? Was there a way to turn them against him? "Mia." She steadied herself and shouted defiantly into the chaos. "Can you hear me? Fight with me." In that moment of uncertainty, Lisa realized the truth: this battle was not just for Mia, it was for herself against the very darkness her fear had conjured. Determined, she pushed her way through the nightmarish echoes, searching for any sign of hope, any flicker of light within. But in the depths of despair, as she felt the weight of shadows closing in, a thought seared into her mind: what if she wasn't fighting alone? As the oppressive darkness thickened, Lisa braced herself for the ultimate confrontation. She had to find a way to unleash the unseen energy within her, summon the love that could pierce through the void. But would it be enough to free Mia and escape the shadows, or would their combined strength simply engulf them both? The darkness roared. A strained voice whispered in the distance, "Mommy, help!" With her heart pounding and resolve firm, Lisa lunged forward into the heart of the void, ready to face whatever horror awaited her. Would she claim victory or fall prey to the shadows, forever lost in their relentless grip? The moment Lisa lunged into the darkness, the chaos enveloped her. The world twisted again, a rapid spin like a kaleidoscope morphing too fast for comprehension. She fought to steady her thoughts, to focus on Mia's voice echoing beneath the thunder of her heartbeat. "Mommy, help!" Every heartbeat echoed through the swirling void, resonating in her chest like a drum of dread. Lisa reached out in all directions, her fingers grazing invisible walls slick with darkness. Each touch brought a fresh chill, flickering images of despair flashing through her mind: lost children, parents weeping, shadows feasting on every dream. Mia. She called again, desperation fueling her voice, slicing through the surrounding void. Stay with me. I'm coming. As she pushed against the oppressive darkness, it clawed back. Cold fingers curled around her ankles, swirling like fog, yanking her down. Lisa grappled to maintain balance, panic building with each second she felt herself sinking. The air turned thick. Stale whispers crowded her mind, drowning her in twisted stories of hopelessness. Join us, they called, their tones flowing like syrup. You'll be free, you'll never feel pain. No. Lisa screamed, shaking her head as if that could shake off the sorrow. I don't want to escape like that. With every syllable, her voice grew stronger. She fixed her heart on the image of Mia's bright laughter, the warmth of her last hug before school. Memories flooded her mind: bedtime stories, warm cookies, family dinners. They sparked a flicker of brightness within the deepening shadows. Fight with me, Mia. Remember what we have. Suddenly, the shadows wavered, a momentary flicker of vulnerability echoing her call. Just then, the air shifted. Mommy? The voice came again, but it wasn't the cheerful sound she recalled. It was like a haunting reflection, howling in agony and mixed with terror. She felt the chill race down her spine, a premonition of something darker looming ahead. Before she could process it, a figure emerged through the darkness, writhing as shadows cascaded from its being. Tom's face materialized, his grin unsettlingly wide, as reality bent around him like an angry tide. You thought you could save her? He called, echoing through the bleakness. You're just like me, Lisa. Just another part of the darkness. Terror coiled in her gut, realization settling heavy like stone. This wasn't just about Mia anymore. Tom had become a part of the dark, commanding it with an ease that made Lisa's throat tighten. She instinctively grasped for any weapon. Her only defense was the love for Mia, and Tom knew it. Fight. Fight together. She shouted into the abyss, closing her eyes against the gnawing fear. Mia, can you hear me? With every ounce of love she could muster, light erupted in her mind, pushing against the suffocating shadows. She felt warm tendrils of hope breaking through the darkness as the walls seemed to tremble. Cracks of brightness lined the edges of the shadows that loomed in, but just as everything felt possible, the true form of the grotesque creature that had replaced Mia emerged fully from the shadows. Its visage gleamed with malice, a twisted perfection of her daughter's features, marred by the pangs of despair. Mommy, you'll have to choose. Lisa's heart dropped, every fiber of her being screamed to turn back, to flee from this horror. But she couldn't leave her daughter to darkness. The conflict between love and fear clashed violently within her, and in that pulse of despair, she screamed. I will save you. But would that declaration be enough? Would her love be strong enough to transcend the darkness and reclaim Mia? Would they stand together or be consumed by the shadow that Tom had unleashed? The void darkened further, the whispers returning, clawing at her heart. You can't defeat your own existence. Lisa's heart raced, her pulse an unyielding drum as she faced the shadows of her own regret, of her own fears. She had one chance. One moment to reclaim what was lost. Would they drown together in despair, or could she unearth the light buried within the darkness? What truth awaited them both in this macabre dance? As the shadows closed in, one final truth began to surface. The horrors lurking in the depths had a presence far darker than Tom. With courage solidifying, she lunged once more, clutching the fleeting warmth of hope to empower her as she faced the shadows that tangled around her. There, in the heart of darkness, would she discover the truth of her own fears, or was it already too late for her, too late for Mia? The final reckoning was upon them both, teetering on the edge of an unfathomable void. The darkness thickened, swirling like a living fog, as Lisa forced herself deeper into its depths. The laughter she so cherished twisted into grotesque echoes, morphing into unrecognizable sounds that echoed from all around her. Each step was a battle against an unseen force gripping at her limbs, the relentless pull of the void urging her to surrender. Mommy help. The plea was different now, laced with an eerie reverberation, a mixture of fear and seduction that threatened to draw Lisa into the shadows. Don't give in, she cried, her voice shattering the oppressive silence, and the shadows recoiled as if stung. The cold that had settled over her heart lightened just the tiniest bit, but then, that monstrous reflection of Mia crept closer, its perfect mimicry of her daughter's voice dripping with malice. You love me, don't you, Mommy? But can you love what I've become? Fury ignited within Lisa. This wasn't her Mia. This was a mockery, a dark imitation meant to strip away her resolve. Get away from her, she shouted, the words tearing through the shadows with an intensity she didn't know she possessed. Tom's unsettling grin morphed into a scowl at her defiance. You think you can challenge me? You think love will save you? Look closely, Lisa. We are all connected here. His voice slithered into her mind, sowing seeds of doubt that felt all too familiar. Lisa stumbled, grappling with the horror of his revelation. Unspeakable thoughts clawed at her, memories of her failures as a mother flooding her senses. She was reminded of the nights she had come home late, of the times she had chosen work over family. Did that dark connection run deeper than she thought? Mia's doppelganger shuffled forward, eyes glowing with predatory hunger. Mommy, join us. Don't fight, you can be one of us. Imagine the freedom, the peace. No! Lisa screamed, shaking her head violently. She refused to let them win. With each heartbeat, she envisioned the real Mia, spinning in the living room, the way her eyes sparkled with laughter, the grip of her tiny hand in hers. That joy was her sanctuary, the lifeline in this abyss. Summoning every ounce of will she could muster, Lisa pushed through, refusing the tendrils of despair grasping at her heart. She clenched her fists, desperate for a way to fight back. You're not real. You're a lie. The darkness quivered, a ripple cascading through the void as Lisa turned inside herself, focusing on an inner light, a flicker of wrongs that could still be righted. I'm coming, Mia. I won't abandon you. Suddenly, a blistering light erupted from deep within, a brilliant source that sliced through the shadows. The veil of darkness shook around her, and the shadows screeched as if burned by her defiance. Yet, just as hope began to surge, laughter erupted, an echoing cackle resonating from Tom. You think light will save you? You'll never escape who you truly are. The filled air crackled with energy, and Lisa felt the walls closing in, trapping her within this endless nightmare. A surge of desperation filled her veins. I will find a way. Her heartbeat thundered like a war drum, a rallying cry against the despair clawing at her sanity. With those words, she lunged forward, traits of even deeper truths clawing at her soul's surface, but as she did, wisps of shadow encircled her, whispering intimate secrets of her past, her guilt, her pain, every misstep materializing into a tangible force. Each memory twisted and writhed before her as her footing trembled on the precipice of despair. It was more than just the shadows, they threatened to drag her down into oblivion. At that moment, she realized, the horrors of her own making were the foundation of this nightmarish reality. Stay away! She shouted, but their voices grew louder, drowning her in a sea of despair. You're a failure, Lisa, just accept it. In a frantic attempt, she tore through the darkness, reaching for the fleeting wisps of light that felt so far away. But what would happen if she did? Could she find Mia? Or would she surrender to the chaos, allowing the darkness to claim her? As the shadows lunged at her, everything around her began to shift again, tearing apart her reality. Would the truth pull her under, or could she break free from the chains of her past? The void pulsed violently, each heartbeat an omen louder than thunder. And in that primal moment of agony and hope, Lisa felt something stir, a presence lurking deeper than Tom, one that wanted to reunite them all in darkness. What lay ahead in that abyss, her salvation or her doom? She had to know. The shadows recoiled, but not for long. They surged forward, clawing at her legs, wrapping tightly like cold, serpentine vines. Lisa gasped, the air around her thick and suffocating. She could feel the weight of those memories sinking in, dragging her back to nights filled with regrets, shadowed faces, and muffled cries that echoed behind closed doors. "Mia!" She screamed, though her voice felt small and futile. The name hung in the air, tainted by sorrow. Suddenly, from the depths, a flicker ignited a heartbeat of warmth amidst the encroaching chill. It pulsed brighter and felt familiar, like a scooped-out core of joy ready to bloom. "Help me!" The voice was more than a whisper, it crackled with possibility. Desperation clawed at her, propelling her forward. She stumbled, but each scrape against the sodden ground felt like a push from an invisible hand. "I'm not giving up," she declared, gritting her teeth against the jarring intrusion of those shadowy whispers. The laughter grew as if mocking her resolve. "You're just like us, Lisa. You've turned away when you should have fought for her." The shadows swelled and shifted, morphing into figures half-formed and haunting those who had once loved her. "Stop!" she shouted, stomping her foot as if to ground herself, affirm her existence against the swell of darkness. But they only cackled louder, erupting in a twisted symphony of anguish. Each sound threatened to spill her sanity, chipping away at her stamina. She squeezed her eyes shut, tightening her fists until her nails dug into her palms, reminding her of the fine line between pain and identifying her truth. "Mia needs you," she bellowed, forcing her eyes open, the warmth calling her like a beacon. The shadow figures recoiled slightly, and the laughter transformed into whispers. Little by little, their faces changed from familiar smiles to the ominous forms twisted by despair, their features melting into grotesque parodies of love. "Can you face what you've done?" Tom's voice slithered through the remnants of her courage, menacing and omnipresent. Shadows flickered from his hands, twisting into long bony arms that reached for her. "You have to confront your failures, the others, even Mia." Fear gripped at her heart like icy fingers, yet the flicker inside her surged, urging her to press forward, to reclaim what was lost. "This is a lie," she cried, each word ripping through the stifling air like a weapon. "You're not real." To her disbelief, the shadows slowed, their gnashing teeth stilling as if caught off guard. In that moment, she glimpsed them, wretches that mimicked her greatest fears, reflecting back at her the pain she had tried to lock away. It all flooded back, her cold silences, her distracted evenings, the absence at Mia's milestones. The darkness stirred uneasily, anxious beneath the weight of her confrontation. "See?" it hissed. "You couldn't save her then. Why think you can do it now?" "Because I can." Lisa's voice rose, saturation coloring her tone with conviction. "I will fight. For her." The light within her flared, a defiant sun rising within the heart of the suffocating night. The shadows shivered, their malevolent forms faltering as if her intensity pushed against the boundaries of their existence. "You have no hold on me," she shouted, determination rippling through her like an electric current, but as the darkness wavered, it morphed, swirling and compressing into a singular point that drew her gaze. A chilling laughter echoed, deeper and richer, intensifying the air around her. From this point of dark convergence, a new specter emerged, sleeker, more sinister, its eyes glinted like shards of glass. "Welcome back to the fold, Lisa. It's time to embrace the truth and your true successor." An arm stretched out from the depths, reaching towards her, the familiar voice intertwining the softness of her memories and the haunting truths she had tried so desperately to escape. In that pivotal moment, Lisa felt an overwhelming urge. Would she step forward into the embrace of this darkness, or would she shatter it once and for all? The answer hovered tantalizingly close, yet the abyss yawned wider, promising revelations laced with dread. What was the truth she feared to confront? A choice loomed over her, heavy as the shadows themselves. Would she dare to unveil the deepest horror hidden within? The specter's arm hovered inches from her, trembling in the dark like an electric wire. The air thickened with a smell of earth and decay. Lisa's heart raced as the shadows slithered closer, whispering in tangled voices that bore a sickening familiarity. "Embrace it," they hissed, inviting her into a web of despair. "No!" she gasped, pushing against the invisible barrier that separated her from this malignant entity. The warmth she had felt began to flicker like a dying flame, and panic clawed at her throat, demanding escape. She wanted to retreat, to flee back to safety, but deep down an ember of defiance remained. "I won't be broken by you." The spectre's eyes locked onto hers, twin voids promising dark secrets. "You don't have to be." Its voice chilled her blood, threading through her psyche. "You only need to recognize what you've hidden, a legacy of fear and betrayal." Suddenly, the shadows convulsed, they twisted, morphing into images of Mia. Lisa blinked, breath hitching as she saw her daughter, but something was terribly wrong. The girl's features were warped, stitched together by masks of anguish. "Mommy, why did you leave me?" Mia's voice echoed, faint and pitiful. Lisa staggered back, the air crackling with grief. "Mia, no. I tried. I was just lost." I thought. Her words faltered under the weight of 1,000 regrets. Mia's figure collapsed into darkness, only to rise again, this time smaller, darker, more menacing, a reflection of despair. The specter leaned closer, tendrils of shadow brushing against Lisa's skin, cold and suffocating. "You were a coward, Lisa. You let fear dictate your actions. Look at what has become of your daughter. Is this not what you deserve for turning away? Stop!" Lisa screamed, and with a surge of fury, she grasped the warmth inside her, letting it expand, filling her with bright determination. It pushed through the darkness, vibrant and heavy. "I will not carry this burden anymore." The specter recoiled, a hissing breath escaping its lips like steam from a boiling pot. The shadows writhed violently, slapping against each other, howling like wind through cracked glass. "You think you can fight your own reflection? You can't escape your truths. They will consume you." Lisa focused deeper, pouring every ounce of her energy into confronting the truth, her own brokenness, her neglect, her failures. The warmth began to ignite around her, not just comfort but a cleansing fire that scorched every tainted memory. "I am more than my past." The words exploded from her, the ground vibrating beneath her feet. "You are nothing but a collection of regrets, illusions I refuse to accept." With that proclamation, the warmth flared, and the shadows screamed. They twisted toward her, desperate to snuff out the light, but instead, they began to dissolve, consumed by her resolve. The specter shrieked, its laughter morphing into agonizing cries, dissolving into wisps trailing into the abyss, but even as the shadows receded, something deeper called out, a presence lurking at the edge of the light. A heavy silence fell, but Lisa felt the air shift. Was it over? Had she truly banished the darkness? Then, a faint laugh echoed, one that sent icy tendrils of fear racing down her spine. It was an all too familiar sound, one she couldn't place but recognized with a gut-wrenching certainty. "You think you've won, Lisa?" Not yet. Her heart hammered as she sensed the cold wrapping around her again. The fear twisted in her gut. What else lurked in this labyrinth of terror? A shadow, far darker than before, loomed just out of reach, gathering strength. Lisa's breath hitched, and she steeled herself, ready to fight again and uncover the horror that still lingered. What had she unleashed in the depths of her mind? And worse, what truths would she have to face next? The darkness pulsed with a gnawing hunger, and Lisa shielded her eyes from the pitiless void expanding before her. She felt it breathing, a presence no longer masked by whispers, but raw and exposed, ready to consume everything she held dear. It was a grip of despair she had brushed against before, one that begged her to look away, to surrender to the nightmare unfolding. "Face it, Lisa," the voice danced around her like smoke, thick and textured with malice. "You may have burned one shadow, but the others are hungrier than ever." Images swirled in the air, stark and vivid. Memories poured into her mind, family dinners turned to arguments, laughter drowned in silence. Shadows lengthened where light used to dwell. Then, Mia's face morphed back into focus, her small features grotesquely warped, carelessly stitched together with the threads of Lisa's neglect and sorrow. "Mommy, why didn't you save me?" came the whimper, punctuated by the crack of thunder, shaking the ground underfoot. "No. I tried. Lisa cried, her voice teetering on the precipice of despair, but the specter only laughed, a sound that twisted like knives digging into her skin. "You weren't just lost, Lisa. You were running. Always running from your own reflection." The walls of her mind began to shift, rearranging into a claustrophobic maze. Each twist and turn echoed her insecurities, every darker corner a reminder of failures long buried. "Turn around," the specter taunted, its elongated fingers beckoning. With hesitant steps, Lisa pivoted. Her breath hitched, the whispers intensified, layering over each other like a sickening lullaby. Her worst fears manifested around her, a series of reflections seeing her fail again and again, from raising her daughter, to her crumbling job, to every moment of cowardice that clawed at her spirit. A trembling began deep within her, seeping up into her chest. Each vision felt like a weight, a core of darkness spreading like a vengeful disease. She staggered back, grappling for balance as the realization struck she had never been confrontational, never faced the pain she had buried alongside her love for Mia. "No more!" she shouted, this time firm. But suddenly, shadowy figures began to emerge from the walls, faces leaking despair, all screaming for release, condemning her, tormenting her. The very air grew thick with their voices, each demanding a piece of her. "Help us! You abandoned us!" Their words clawed at her sanity. In that horrifying moment, while she faced the shadows of her past, Lisa realized they weren't merely phantoms. They were every choice unmade, every chance missed, a cacophony of regrets clawing at her heart until she felt ready to drown in the despair they represented. But there it was again, that flicker of warmth, igniting somewhere deep. It surged forward, connecting her to each emotion she had hidden, each piece of her she had dared not confront. "I will face you," she declared, voice trembling but laced with determination. One by one, as she poured out her fealty towards healing, the shadows began to shake, howling as fragments of herself tore free and illuminated the space. But the darkness writhed, contorting fiercely, and then choked her with chains of regret. They squeezed, trying to coalesce back around her. "Think again, Lisa." The specter's voice slithered coldly, filled with venomous glee. "You're not strong enough to hold back all the darkness." But Lisa held fast, feeling the warmth radiate outward. "You think you own me? I will not be your puppet any longer." Suddenly, something shattered in the air. A crack, resembling the sound of glass breaking, was followed by a violent gust that sent shadows spiraling in a frenzy. Just when the tendrils of despair seemed ready to engulf her completely, a clear light pierced through, a radiant warmth striking through the heart of the horror. The specter shrieked, shaking violently, as it turned its dead eyes towards her. "You've only awakened the beginning, Lisa. This isn't over. No one can escape their own darkness." With a final push, Lisa centered herself, focusing on the flickering light that threatened to fade. Yet, as the specter began to dissolve, a new fear crept in. The shadows were receding, but what was lingering at the edges, gathering strength, stood darker than before and began whispering her name. Was there something she had overlooked? Or the fear itself refusing to let go? And at that moment, Lisa understood. The true horror lay in the knowledge that her fight was far from over. The darkness was adapting, growing stronger in its quiet place. What had she truly unleashed, and would it ever leave her to rest? Lisa stood amidst the chaos, heart pounding, breaths coming in sharp bursts, as the shadows writhed like serpents ready to strike. She could feel the intensity of the darkness pressing against her, trying to seep into her veins. But within that tumult, a flicker of realization sparked. She had been running from her own truths, her own darkness. "Face it!" she yelled, her voice echoing against the twisted walls that threatened to collapse around her. "I refuse to hide any longer." The shadows recoiled, but only momentarily. They swirled, coiling tighter, whispering her fears back to her, the regrets, the neglected moments, every weight crushing her spirit. She saw flashes: her job loss, the days when she couldn't make it home, Mia's endless longing for her to be present. Each memory cut like glass, too raw and too familiar. "Mia needs you, Lisa," she growled at herself, forcing back the tears that threatened to escape. "Fight for her. Fight for you." As she pushed through the suffocating fog, a surge of warmth began pooling in her chest, a fierce, unyielding love that radiated outward. Images of Mia's laughter, sunlit days spent together, echoed in her mind. These memories were beacons of hope, shattering her despair. "You're stronger than this," she shouted, rallying not just her spirit but every ounce of maternal instinct left. The shadows whimpered, staggering back as if recoiling from the light. "No! You can't escape!" they hissed, but their voices were now laced with fear, uncertainty creeping in. Lisa stepped forward, focused on the specter of her daughter. She had to break the spell, the darkness that tried to twist Mia's face into a grotesque caricature of her love. "Mia!" she cried out, her voice solid and fierce. "I am here. I will save you." Mia's specter flickered, confusion playing across her ephemeral features. "Mommy," her voice trembled, both familiar and haunting, the echo of a child trapped in shadows. "I'm lost. Help me." "I know, baby. I'm coming," Lisa roared, the force of her voice shattering dark illusions. With renewed resolve, she lunged toward the darkness, her love forming a shield against its icy grip. The specter of Tom emerged, blocking her path, a malevolent smirk creeping across his face. "You think love can withstand the shadows? You think it will protect you? I don't just love, I fight." Lisa surged forward, drawing deep from that well of warmth burgeoning inside her. The shadowy workers shuddered, fading at her approach. For every doubt that twisted in her mind, she fought back with memories of joy, of warmth, of love. "Mommy! Help!" Mia's plea echoed louder, piercing through the fog. Lisa's heart raced at the sound. That cry was her compass. "I won't let them take you," she screamed defiantly. Lisa leaped into the swirling abyss, feeling the weight of shadows tugging at her, but she pressed on, arms reaching towards her daughter. As she collided with the darkness, something shifted. The world trembled violently, shadows recoiling as the light from her determination pushed them back. The specter of Tom howled as his form began to draw backward, losing cohesion, merging with the shadows around him. "You think this is the end? You will always carry your darkness." With a fierce scream of defiance, Lisa countered, "I carry my love too. The shadows can't define me." In that moment, the light erupted from within her, washing over her surroundings like a tidal wave. The shadows screeched in agony, dissipating like smoke retreating from fire. The specter of Tom screamed, and in an instant, darkness shattered into 1,000 fragments, scattering into oblivion. As calm reclaimed the space, Lisa fell to her knees in a scattering of light, the weight of terror lifting. "Mia?" The world was still silent, echoes of despair replaced by a sweet lull of hope. "Mommy!" The joyous voice rang out, brighter than any dawn. Little Mia rushed toward her, a whirlwind of warmth and love. Their arms met, and Lisa felt the connection, a lightness, a tethering to life that filled her spirit. "I'm here. I found you," she sobbed, cradling her child, as if the world around them disintegrated into stardust. "I was scared," Mia cried, her voice muffled in Lisa's embrace. "I know, sweet girl. But we're together now. I won't let you go again," Lisa promised, holding her tight, knowing that their bond was stronger than any darkness they faced. As the remnants of shadows faded, the house emerged around them, a sanctuary revived and painted with light. Outside, the dusky sky transformed into a brilliant canvas, with vibrant hues melting into one another as the sun dipped below the horizon. Together, they stepped through the door, leaving the weight of fear behind. "Mommy, do you think the shadows will ever come back?" Mia whispered, glancing up fearfully. "No," Lisa replied, her voice steady. "We'll face them together, always. And if they do return, we'll fight side by side." With renewed love and a heart unbroken, Lisa smiled at her daughter, certain their journey had only just begun, filled with light, love, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And with that embrace, the story of fear transformed into one of hope, the whispers of shadows now silenced within their hearts. They walked forward, two fierce warriors against the night, ready to greet a world reborn. If you want to keep joining us on these wild, heart-pounding adventures, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now, it really helps us grow and keeps the stories coming. And don't wait even one more second to share this conclusion. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what happens next. Spread the word and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing conclusion. Let your voice be heard.